Hi everyone, this is AutoSolve, and today we're looking at accounting reconciliations with AI, using AI. Today's episode is specially dedicated to intercompany transactions. So, what is intercompany reconciliation? It is effectively a piece of reconciliation where we have a company, a legal entity, and several divisions within that company trade among each other. So they're effectively exchanging goods within the intercompany, hence the name intercompany. So here, the purpose of this reconciliation is to ensure that a list of transactions from part company one and the second part of the company, we have to make sure that none of the transactions are missing. So if P101 is one of the transactions that occurred between these companies, it would be present on the other companies list. And so forth and so on applies to the other transactions, to P102, P120, and etc. So let me just jump to a quick demo. So this demo is kind of a workflow within Google Colab. So here we are installing some dependencies to bring in libraries that we need for this workflow. So there's LangGraph, LangChain. We're installing all of those, then we're producing these two quick files that represent UK ledger and the US ledger. Now that is merely to simulate the real accounting environment. But that could be obviously substituted by access to databases or larger files. So here we're starting to build tool set for our LangChain LangGraph setup. So there's fetch entity ledger that brings in the data, then there's the intercompany match piece that actually performs the reconciliation. Here we're also building a state which contains input, plan steps, past steps, and the response. Now, we need to remember that this will be passed along and will be accessible within LangGraph, within our graph. So every single agent will have access to update this and read from it. So you'll kind of have like a history of everything that happened. Right, so here we're building our plan node. So you'll effectively will be producing a plan upon which the whole graph, the whole network, or a set of agents will be working. And here we're building execution nodes. So the plan node will be speaking to the execution node, and execution will be performing these steps based on the plan. Then we're adding reflection nodes. So as the execution works through the plan, reflection node will be looking at the plan, original plan, and it will be looking at the steps, and it will be suggesting any improvements. If the plan has been completed, reflection node will have a chance to stop the execution. Right, so here we're building our graph. So we're putting our plan state. We're declaring our nodes. There's only three: plan, execute, and reflect. So the start comes from the plan. So planning agent or planner receives the requirement. It passes it then to the execution, and the execution speaks to the reflection. Now there's a conditional edge which kind of states, okay, if reflect node decides for execution to end, then it's an end. So yeah, it's either gets passed back to the execute or the end. And we're compiling the graph here, and we can see it. So like I said at the start, the requirement is passed on to the planning agent. And then planning builds the plan and passes it to the execution. Execution starts working through it, and every time it does something according to a plan, it passes it to reflection. So reflection decides whether everything's okay, changes the plan if it needs to, and if everything's been completed, it stops the whole graph. So the whole graph comes to an end. Now that is the demo piece. So we're building our prompt and asking our network to reconcile June 2025 intercompany balances between UK and US. So there is our plan node speaking, building a plan, building steps for this reconciliation, and here it stops. So the planning agent stops working, which means that it should have been onto the execution node. And there is the execution node, produced as a summary of the transactions, starts looking at them, contemplating them, and well, it doesn't really do much here really on the first step. So reflection node then picks it up, and it's suggesting to revisit the reconciliation. So it changes the plan, I believe. And here we've got the tool. So these are the tools by the execution. So execution noted back in play, and we can see these two faulty transactions. So these two transactions do not add up on the amount, although they do match with the date on the basis of the date. Then there's intercompany or free transaction, which was not matching up on both date and the amount, and it's also been flagged up. So it looks like it completed the reconciliation. It asks reflect node to improve upon this analysis, but there's nothing to improve. So we are good. And there's another better looking summary for people that like SQL. Right, left only, right only. So there it is. Okay, so here it comes to an end. Execution comes to an end, and we are good. So that is the demo. Let's quickly visit the slides. So we're using ChatGPT API endpoints here. Once again, you can use Grok, Claude, anything you prefer. We're using LangGraph and LangChain frameworks. So we obviously have to follow the rules of the state graph, how we compile the graph, how we kind of project the flow of information through the graph. Next point here is obviously we're using some files, realistic files, to simulate real accounting or finance environment. The way it works, once again, I'll reiterate, we produce two files, one for the US ledger, one for the UK ledger for AI to process. Then the planning agent picks up the requirement, and obviously it makes a bunch of steps in order to obviously execute the plan. So obviously then it goes to the execution agent, execution performs steps and throws them to reflection agent. The reflection agent looks at the steps, looks at the plan, and obviously weighs in on whether a plan needs to be changed, on whether everything's going fine. And this way, reflection agent kind of takes over control and works with the execution agent. So how is this relevant to accounting and finance and tax? So AI agent here does all of the reconciliation without having to do anything by the user. Now obviously we know how important reconciliations are to accounting, to finance, to tax. So obviously that could be clearly used by teams within these departments. And obviously the simplicity is really important because the user only has to specify what needs to be performed. And obviously the network of agents does the rest. And the output provided by the agent is summarizing everything. We saw a couple of summaries that were provided by the reflection agent in the end that actually shows it in two different formats. So yeah, that is amazing that is an amazing benefit. So let me know if you find this useful or if you have any comments or questions. I would like to hear your suggestions on how we can use potentially AI, or how you would like to see AI resolve problems for your departments, or how you would like it to automate stuff, or what kind of stuff you'd like to have automated. So thank you so much for your attention, and until next time, thank you.